first time since the start of Russia's war on Ukraine, commercial vessels carrying Ukrainian grain safely departed the Black Sea this week. This is new video of 3 ships leaving the port this morning. A UN-brokered deal with Russia and Ukraine has allowed exports to resume. So, is this happening quickly enough to avert a global food crisis? Corinne Fleischer is a regional director with the World Food Program, overseeing the regions of the Middle East, North Africa, and Eastern Europe. We reached her in Kyiv. This first ship leaving Ukraine with some 26,000 metric tons of corn on it. How significant is that?
That's very significant. I was in Odessa. I'm now in Kyiv. Actually, today, 3 more ships have left Odessa. It is significant. It is important because it will give a signal to the market that there is hopefully a regular supply coming again out of Ukraine, which will hopefully make prices go down so that people around the world are able to buy food again, that governments who provide subsidies are able to provide the subsidies, continue to provide the subsidies. And for WFP, who has an increased work to do now, and our prices are going through the roof as well, to be able to support more people.
There has certainly been some skepticism, though, about how many more ships we might expect to see. I'm sure you know that President Zelensky said that, in fact, this was nothing. Anthony Blinken says it's only really a first step. So how optimistic can you be that this really will pick up steam and be part of a much broader effort to get grain out of the country?
We have now no other way than to be optimistic. We have to be optimistic because it has to work. The world is at the boiling point. The Middle East region, so much dependent on import and so much importing from the Black Sea region, is at breaking point. And WFP is cutting rations around the world because we don't have the funds anymore for the more people who need assistance and with the increased prices. So it has to work. We're calling for everybody to make this work for food for the world.
Help me understand what that looks like on the ground. I know you were just in Yemen, where the situation is so very acute. What did you see?
Well, there is some hope in Yemen because the truce has now been extended. It's been there for 4 months now, another 2 months, and hopefully it will go into a longer term. But Yemen imports 90% of their food needs. There is very little agriculture at large scale happening, and the people can't afford to buy the food anymore. And so, WFP also had to cut rations by large amounts. We're only providing now 50% of what a person needs in a day. And, I was in Hodeidah, the port of Hodeidah. I was in Hodeidah. I was at one of our 12,000 distribution sites across the country. We are supporting 13 million people in Yemen. I was at one of the sites, and this woman approaches me, and she is completely in distress. And she says, "But how do you think I will feed my family? You gave me 80 kilos. So far per month for my family. Now you give me 40. How will my children survive?" What do you answer a woman like this? It's heartbreaking.
What did you say to her?
What we can say does not sound with her, because we can only say, we can explain that the prices go up and that the funds the prices go up and we can't support at large scale. That doesn't sound with her. The only thing I could tell her is we do everything to make sure prices go down and we can step up with our assistance. And for that, we need the ports to open as one of the solutions. There are other issues in the world that make prices go up now, but this is one of the solutions.
You're also facing funding shortfalls at the World Food Program. Who do you hold accountable for that?
Our donors are very, very generous and continue to be very, very generous. The funding shortfalls that we face are very much because of the increase in prices. It costs us today about 40% more to feed a person in Syria than it used to cost us before COVID. So donors continue to be generous. The government of Canada continues to be generous, but doesn't go as far as it used to go. And then there are the increased needs because people can't buy food. There are the increased needs for which, yes, we don't have the funds to respond.
One U.S. official, Samantha Power, said recently that the United States is accounting, by her estimate, for more than 80% of the World Food Program's appeal. She says it is not sustainable for U.S. taxpayers. Do you expect countries like Canada, and not just countries like Canada, but specifically Canada, to do more?
It is up. There is no answer. That we can't say no to this. Yes, we expect our donors to do more, and we expect other donors that are not as forthcoming to step up and do more. We expect the Gulf donors to do more because the needs are so big, and the world can't see famine, to come at large scale. We are very grateful to the donors to continue to be with us, and it's a stress on everybody. But we make a very big case that right now is not the time to step back.
You talk about it being a stress on everybody, and I can't help but wonder what it's like for you and others in your situation who actually have to make these decisions about cutting back on rations. What is that like for you and your colleagues?
It's heartbreaking, I tell you. And our people who are at the front lines and at the distribution sites, who face these women who come to us and say, well, recently I was at the site and a woman was there crying. And I asked, why are you crying? And she said, well, I came here hoping that I would get on your lists. And I was told I can't. And now I will have to take my children out of school, my daughters out of school. I have 3 daughters. I have to take them out of school. They have to work because otherwise we will not survive.
Goodness. As a last question, I just want you to put this in perspective for us. Before the grain blockade was lifted, the World Food Program director warned that 50 million people in 45 countries were just one step away from famine. Where do we stand now? I mean, we talked at the beginning about the fact that grain exports are starting to open up, but how much can we even say that the situation has really improved since that declaration?
Well, the situation will improve when prices go down significantly. Now, prices usually go up very quickly, but they don't go down very quickly, and inflation rises. And then inflation is not only a question of food prices, it's also a question of other issues. And so we are concerned that, prices will not go down to the level that they were very quickly. But opening the ports of Odessa, having a regular supply coming out of Odessa will give a stabilizing signal to markets. And so we really need this to happen and to sustain.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.